Buy or sell 3D systems. First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So we can find 3D systems under a theme that I call stationary robots. 63% here from the 52-week low, but there's been a lot of pullbacks. So 3D systems, significant sell-off here on Friday, 123-ish% from the 52-week low, but minus 62% pullback. So the pullback has certainly been of an extent where it makes sense to start to look for bullish opportunities. So here is their website. Wilting uses metal additive manufacturing to improve semiconductor equipment. Groundbreaking new production scale SLA material for large scale parts. So more and more things are being 3D printed. Houses are being printed. So this is really a very interesting sub-industry. So yeah, here is 3D systems weekly data points. So this is the very, very big picture. So we can see that this is a very volatile stock. It can be on some huge bull runs, but then also have major sell-offs. So we definitively want to trade something like this with stops. This looks a lot like horizontal support. At least the bulls now have an opportunity to use this, confirm this as horizontal support. So it is definitively very important that the bulls use this opportunity because it is right here in front of them. So let's go here to the daily data points. We also have some time cycles here. So when we go back here to 2014, we do see these major time cycles, and also there's a tendency for there to be 3 smaller within. When we zoom in a bit here, we do see this smaller time cycle rise, decline, and the small time cycle is supposed to end pretty soon, and we are still part of a major rising phase. So there is a small bullish time cycle around the corner. So now let's look at some of the other indicators. So yeah, many of these indicators are looking a bit atrocious. Looking at the RSI here on the weekly data points, we do see that this low end of the RSI, it has a tendency to be a good buying opportunity. So if the horizontal support level fails, then there is a real possibility of us testing that level, and that would be a separate trade. Let's go here to the daily data points. In this instance, you could argue that RSI has reached a level that has formed lows in the past, like back here, this RSI level. Also, when we go back here, it formed a bit of a low. Here as well, we at least got a bit of a bounce. And back here, we also got a bounce. So we could either get a bounce based on this history or a more substantial rally. And also distance here from, the 20, 50, and 100 day moving averages. It is at a level that has a tendency to attract buyers. Even though we have seen some heavy sell-off here in price, accumulation distribution is flattening out a bit. So there's some, you could argue that there's some tepid, bullish divergence. Looking at, correlations, we have 78% with the S&P 500, 84% with the robotics ETF, Robo, and then 93% with the 3D printing ETF. And then minus 63% with the dollar index. Looking at short-term correlations, interestingly here we only have a very weak 8% correlation with the S&P 500, 19-ish with the robotics ETF, and 67% positive with 3D printing, and then minus 9 with the dollar index. When we look at the seasonality for the company over the last 5 years, December is a bit mediocre, but January is very strong. Over the last 10 years, the same thing. January is extremely strong historically, and over the last 20 years, we do see that there is an increase in bullishness from November to December, an average 3.2% gain, but then January is this super month with an average 17%. So the seasonality is bullish. Looking at Finviz, notwithstanding the big pullback, we are still actually up 102% year to date. So that's interesting. When we look here at SAX, number 3 hold, D value, but we have A growth, and it's very common for there to be it's rare to both have a strong value score and a growth score. There usually is like a zero-sum game there. Market cap $2.7 billion, no dividend. When we look at the insiders, we do see that the latest move here was accumulation, buying. Then there's a bunch of selling in November, October. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed message because you did have a bunch of selling, but the latest move is accumulation. So yeah, make of that what you will. When we look here at the consensus estimates, so here we can see that the average price target is 25% above. The highest target 70% above, and the lowest price target is 3.6% above the stock price. So taking it all together. So the technicals. We did have horizontal support. It is very important that it holds, because if we do lose this opportunity to form horizontal support, then it could very well be that that very low RSI level is going to be a better buy opportunity. And we did have time cycles that had a bullish lean to them. That's also interesting. Seasonality is especially strong for January, so bullish seasonality. And December was decent as well. Not spectacular, but it was not like a very ideal month for bears. So yeah, there's that. Fundamentals, have a bullish overall lean. So taking it all together, it's much easier to make a bullish case for 3D systems at these levels than a bearish one. Especially looking, longer term, this is a very strong trend. 3D printing, it's gone from, being more for hobbyists to now we are printing all kinds of things, houses, you name it. So it's a very interesting technology that it still is in its infancy. So yeah, have stops in place. Nonetheless, that are reflective of your preferred time frame, whether it's short, medium, or long term.